Welcome back to Sleeping with History. Today we're going to be talking about the daily life of the samurai. Please consider subscribing as it is free and definitely helps out the channel. Also, let me know where in the world you're watching from. Now, let's get into the video. Long before the sun rose over old Japan, when the fields were still dark and the villages were quiet, a small class of warriors was already awake. The samurai. Not the movie version with constant fighting, not the endless duels in the rain, but real people, men born into duty, sons raised to obey, warriors who spent more time waiting than fighting, and more time training than killing. This is the walk through one full day in the life of the samurai, during the age when they still served their lords, carried their swords, and lived under a strict code of honor. From the first breath of dawn to the last quiet hour before sleep, this is what samurai life was really like. The day begins before sunrise. Inside a wooden house with sliding paper doors, the samurai's home is simple but organized. Tatami mats on the floor, a low table, a family shrine in the corner with a small lamp or candle. His armor stored carefully, not on display for glory, but hung or boxed so it can be reached quickly if duty calls. He wakes early, often with the habit of a lifetime. No alarm, just discipline. He sits up slowly, careful not to disturb his sleeping family. His kimono is folded nearby. Today, like most days, he will not wear armor. Armor is heavy and expensive. It's for battle, patrols, or times of danger. On a normal day, he dresses in layered robes, tied neatly, moving with quiet, practiced motions. Before food comes respect. At the small family shrine, he kneels. He bows his head to honor the ancestors and the gods. He thinks of his lord. He thinks of his duty. The moment is not dramatic. It's routine, repeated every day. A reminder that his life is not his own. It belongs to his clan, his family, and the one he serves. Only after this quiet ritual does the house begin to wake. From the kitchen, soft sounds, rice being rinsed, water heating. His wife or servants, depending on his status, prepare the morning meal. For a lower-ranked samurai, it may be simple. Rice, and maybe a bit of vegetable, a small piece of fish when available. For higher-ranking samurai, there might be more to the side dishes, but the style is the same. Plain, steady food meant for strength, not luxury. He eats calmly, no rushing and no loud talk. He sits with his family if duty allows. Children sit straight, learning manners early. They see his swords resting close to him, and they understand, without anyone shouting, that these are serious tools, and that their father's role is not a game. When the first light touches the garden outside, the day truly begins. For a samurai, training is not a hobby, it's survival. After breakfast, if there is no urgent task from his lord, he returns to practice. Even in peaceful times, a samurai cannot afford to grow weak. In a small yard or training space, the ground is packed hard from years of footwork. Bamboo poles or straw mats may be set up as targets. Wood racks hold practice weapons. Wooden swords for drills, sometimes spears, and sometimes bows. He starts with the basics: stance, breath, and balance. A simple cut, repeated again and again. Hands moving in the same line, shoulders relaxed, hips turning with each motion. It looks boring from far away, but this repetition is how skill is built. A young samurai might train under an older instructor, taking each correction seriously. A more experienced samurai may drill alone, but still with the same care. Muscles remember what the mind no longer needs to think about. Then comes the footwork, forward and back, diagonal steps, turns, always keeping the center low, the sword ready. A wrong step in training is just a stumble. A wrong step on the battlefield can mean death. If his lord's lands are calm, training might extend to other weapons. The bow, drawing the string in a smooth, deliberate way, focusing on the target, then letting the arrow fly in a moment of stillness. The spear, learning reaching and timing, keeping distance and controlling space. Some days he practices with others. Two samurai clash wooden swords, but not in wild chaos. Their strikes are measured, each blow has a purpose. Blocks, parries, counters. They stop just short of real injury, feeling where the body would have been cut if it were real. Sweat rolls down his face, soaking his robe. His arms burn with effort, his legs ache, but he keeps moving. Training is not about looking impressive. It's about being prepared for a day that might never come, but must always be expected. Samurai are often imagined as warriors who did nothing but fight. But in reality, many of their days are filled with something far less exciting: work. If he lives in a castle town, he may need to report to the residence of his lord or local official. The castle complex is busy, guards on duty, messengers moving from building to building, scribes carrying scrolls, servants cleaning and delivering meals. Inside, the life of the ruling class is tied together by paperwork, meetings, and reports. A samurai's duty could involve the following: inspecting fields or villages on behalf of his lord, handling disputes between farmers, collecting taxes or confirming records, serving as a guard or escort, reading and writing reports. The samurai are expected to be literate, especially in more settled periods. Many have learned to read and write, to handle contracts, letters, and official documents. This separates them from many commoners, and it gives them a role beyond just fighting. A lower-ranking samurai might stand watch at a gate, checking those who pass in and out of the castle, making sure weapons are declared, and looking for trouble. This can be long and dull. Hours of standing, watching the same road, seeing the same merchants, and hearing the same cartwheels. A middle-ranking samurai might sit in a room with others, kneeling at low desks, reviewing scrolls, listening as decisions are made. A dispute comes in from a village. Someone claims another stole their land boundary. Witnesses are called, statements are heard. The samurai listens, weighs what is said, and may help decide who is telling the truth. Sometimes they have to deliver the bad news, and sometimes they must carry out harsh orders. This is not the glorious part of their life, but it's essential. Their lord's power rests not just on swords, but on rules, and someone must enforce those rules. Even here, the code of the samurai follows him: honor, loyalty, and self-control. He cannot show favoritism, at least in theory. He cannot act purely from personal anger. His role was to serve something larger than himself. By late morning, his tasks may change. He might be sent on patrol, riding out with a handful of other samurai to check the roads, watch for bandits, or ensure that nearby villages are calm. In peaceful times, patrols may find nothing but normal life. Farmers farming their fields, children at play, and smoke rising from the cooking fires. But the presence of armed riders reminds everyone who holds the power. The samurai do not only carry swords, they carry rules. These rules shape every part of their day, even when no one else is watching. In public, a samurai must behave with controlled dignity. No wild gestures, no casual insults. How he sits, how he talks, how he speaks, these small details reflect his status. At meals with other samurai, he is careful. He kneels correctly. He picks up bowls and chopsticks with steady hands. He does not eat greedily, and he doesn't talk loudly or boast about his skills. The way he bows may change depending on who is in front of him. Higher-ranked samurai, elders, his lord's messengers. He must remember names, ranks, and connections. A wrong word to the wrong person can cause offense. A misunderstood gesture can cause damage reputation. Even at home, this code follows him. He's expected to be firm but fair with his family. His children are taught to show respect, to listen, and to bow properly. His wife, depending on era and status, may help manage the household, keep accounts, oversee servants, and maintain the family's image. The house itself reflects discipline. Swords are kept in order, the armor is maintained, the clothing is folded and stored, and guests are welcomed with proper etiquette. This daily structure protects more than just honor. It keeps a warrior's mind in balance. If anger controls him in everyday life, it will control him when his sword is drawn. So he practices restraint long before any battle. He also has expectations of himself that go beyond combat. Some samurai study poetry, calligraphy, or classic literature. Others learn strategy, history, or philosophy. A well-rounded mind is seen as a mark of refinement and depth. A samurai who can fight and think is more valuable than one who can only swing a blade. So in the quiet hours, he may sit by the lamplight, brush in hand, writing lines of poetry or copying passages from older texts. The strokes must be steady and beautiful, just like a clean cut with a sword. This balance between war and culture, between violence and art, is a core part of samurai identity. It shapes his day as much as any patrol or drill. Not every day is peaceful. Sometimes news arrives that a rival has challenged his lord's authority. Sometimes a bandit group must be hunted down. Sometimes a personal conflict escalates beyond words. And when danger comes, the samurai's entire day shifts. Orders come fast. Armor is taken from storage, laid out piece by piece. Layers of cloth and padding go on first, then metal or leather plates tied with cords. It's heavy, it's hot, but he's used to it. He checks his sword, feeling the familiar weight. He secures it at his side. He mounts his horse if he's a mounted warrior, or prepares to march on foot if he is not. What follows may not be the kind of duel seen in movies. Real fights are rarely elegant. They're loud, confusing, and fast. The training he has repeated for years now guides his body more than conscious thought. A cut here, a block there, a step to the side to avoid a spear, a shout to signal others. The goal is survival and success, not purely style. Battles are not daily, however, and in many periods of Japanese history, long stretches of peace meant samurai rarely ever saw full-scale war. But the possibility of violence always sat in the background of their lives, like a storm on the horizon. Even in more peaceful times, tension could exist in another way: duty to the code. If a samurai failed in his loyalty, brought shame to his name or family, or disobeyed his lord, the consequences could be severe. Honor was not just a word. It was a pressure that weighed on his thoughts every day. In extreme cases, that pressure could lead to the darkest part of samurai life: being ordered or choosing to end his own life to avoid deeper shame. This shadow hung quietly behind even on normal days. It made every choice feel heavier. It reminded the samurai that reputation could be as fragile as a paper screen. When the day's duties are done, whether they involve training, patrols, paperwork, or tense meetings, the samurai returns home. He steps out of his sandals at the entrance. He slides open the door. Inside, the world is quieter. His swords are removed and placed in a safe, respectful spot. The armor, if worn, is taken off piece by piece, wiped down and checked. Any cracks or fraying cords must be repaired before they grow into bigger problems. The evening meal is a calmer moment. He sits with his family when possible. Children might share their stories from their lessons. A son might show progress with a wooden sword. A daughter might display a piece of sewing or calligraphy. The samurai listens, offers correction when needed, but also pride when earned. Outside, the sky darkens. Lanterns or candles provide a warm, dim light. This time of day allows for small pleasures. He might pour a bit of sake and share it with a fellow samurai visiting his house. They talk in low voices about recent events, about changes in the clan, about rumors of future conflict, or about simple human things like family, fun times, and memory. He might return to his books or brushes. writing poetry that reflects on the passing of time, the changing of seasons, or the briefness of life. The warrior who may die in battle finds comfort in words that will outlive them. As the night deepens, the house grows more still. Before sleep, he may visit the family shrine again. A brief bow, a closing thought, gratitude for surviving another day, hope that tomorrow he can continue to serve well. He lies down on the tatami, under simple bedding, hearing faint sounds outside. Insects, wind, perhaps the distant splash of water in a nearby stream or muted life of the town. His sword rests nearby, as always, not in his hands, not drawn from their scabbards, just present, a quiet reminder of what he is. In the darkness, he is not a legend. He is a tired man with a heavy role, a human being living inside a strict world of duty and expectation. Another day will come, the pattern will repeat, the code will remain. The daily life of a samurai was more than heroic battles and dramatic duels. It was early mornings and repeated drills. It was reading and writing in dim light. It was calm meals, polite bows, and careful words. It was a quiet pressure of honor that never quite let go. Behind every famous samurai name in history were countless ordinary days, just like this one. Days filled with routine, training, service, and small human moments at home. When we strip away the legend, what remains is still powerful. A person born into a role, shaped by strict rules, trying to live up to that code that demanded everything. This has been Sleeping with History, where the past truly never rests, and neither do we.